I said on Wednesday that Dillon Garbiel would make Texas really, really stress defensively, because a lot of the stuff that those quarterbacks that they faced in the last 6 weeks or 5 weeks before that, Dillon Garbiel would not make those same mistakes. Let's get into it. But, Joe, this is from our good friend Mike on Twitter. This was me. You know the Kevin
yes.
This was me when Kevin James. This was me when Dillon Garbiel went stupid. I'm just going to throw that out there. Now, here's the bottom line. Quinn Ewers had a horrible game. The 2 interceptions were horrific, but Oklahoma...
One wasn't his fault, but the fumble definitely was.
Well, Joe, when you throw the quick slant and it gets bounced up in the air, you cannot throw that.
Yes.
You're in double... Everybody's saying that the throw's not his fault because it went in the air. I vehemently disagree. You know why?
Wait, are you talking about the first or the second pick?
The one that batted up in the air. Which one was that?
I think the second one. The first one was the one where he hesitated and then he threw it and it got picked off. That was the beginning of the game.
Oh, well, the one in the beginning of the game, I think, was a misread on the receiver. Yes. I think that looked like an option route, and I don't blame Ewers on that one. But regardless, the second one was horrendous in crunch time. He played a horrible game. A very horrible game. Oklahoma pushed them around. Offense and defense, that offense and defensive line for Texas, the one that everybody had been talking about for 2 weeks. Oklahoma came into the Cotton Bowl and pushed them around. Joe, Oklahoma had 201 rushing yards. 201 rushing yards. A lot of that coming from a guy who we also probably need to put into the Heisman conversation in Dillon Garbiel. We'll talk about this week. But he had 113, the Walker kid. The stats aren't going to blow up. He had 46 really tough yards, getting three yards every carry that he had. But you know what surprised me? The Farouk kid. 5 catches, 130 yards, looked impressive. Yep. Oklahoma, I know the game was close, but there were so many opportunities for Texas to take that game over. The goal line stand. Joe, 4 plays from your own goal line, and you can't get in. That defense is for real. This isn't the same Big 12 defense. Oklahoma stuns the college football world, in my opinion. Good for Brent Venables, because, Joe, we talked about, is Brent Venables in over his head? And I will give you your flowers on this one. You thought that they would be able, and Brent Venables, the way that he recruited and went into the portal, that they would be better than some people believed. And, man, are they. They might be a playoff-bound team.
I think that my biggest takeaway from this, and this should spark the ire of USC fans by making this statement, this is the most well-rounded Oklahoma team that we've seen in a very, very long time. When Lincoln Riley was there, let's be blatantly honest with ourselves, defensively, they were a clown show. It was how many points
yesterday.
They still are. It's always how many points can we score and then hope that the defense gets one stop and then we'll be fine at the end of the day. This team was cohesive offensively and aggressive defensively. That defensive line doesn't necessarily have any elite players, but it's got a lot of guys that fit exactly what Brent Venables needs to create pressures and to get after opposing quarterbacks. And that is what led to Quinn Ewers playing as bad as he did. He started off by making mistakes, but they got in his face. They produced, I think it was 6 sacks. They were all over him, and they could not run the ball in some crucial spots because that defensive line and that front seven played as well as it did. But most importantly, why this team is the most well-rounded, sure, they're not going to put up 50 points a game, but Dillon Garbiel sits in the pocket, he takes pressure in his face, and he delivers the ball. That game-winning touchdown throw that he had is proof of that. And I think he's got huge nuts for the way that he played. Put him in the Heisman conversation, and Oklahoma is legit. I said at the beginning of the year, I like Oklahoma more than I like Texas. And I think with their weak schedule, they will finish and be one of the teams in the playoff, assuming that they beat Texas the second time that they play them in the Big 12 championship game.
Well, that's a good point now. It is really difficult to beat a good team twice. Very difficult. So we will see how that goes. You know what else is interesting to me? The point that I led the show off with, or this segment off with, that if you have a coverage bust, Dillon Garbiel will make you pay. The last play that Oklahoma ran offensively, it was a coverage bust. They have motion coming in. The backer is supposed to pick it up. He doesn't. He throws a little corner route in the back of the end zone. Bang, tutty. Texas did outgain them, though. Texas did have 500-plus yards. But the difference is Oklahoma, when it mattered the most, came up with the score of the stop. Mm-hmm. And there's got to be something to be said about a good team with good coaching, Joe, when you make the right plays and the big plays when it matters most, and they did all day long. And that won them the game. Bottom line for Texas, you cannot turn the ball over. If Quinn Ewers is going to continue to turn the ball over, you're going to lose a game you're not supposed to.
Right. That's why I have a lot of pause for putting any faith in Texas to really, God damn it, this stupid camera. Damn autofocus. This is why I have so much pause for putting any faith in them for the rest of the season, because the real Quinn Ewers reared his ugly head in this game, which is silly, stupid turnovers, especially once he gets rattled. He's just one of those guys where his lows are way lower than his highs, and he very rarely bounces back from mistakes. That is a huge, huge problem for somebody that's supposed to be one of the best quarterbacks in the country. I even went as far as to say that the way he played against Alabama, he can be that guy. But again, the problem with him and the reason why Texas's success is going to be held back is his highs are nowhere near as bad as his lows, because he will drag your ass down into the dirt and he will hold you back the way he did in this game. Those turnovers really screwed them, because you just talked about
the fumble was so bad, dude.
Yeah. You just talked about the offensive production for how many yards that Texas put up and they still lost. It's because of sacks that he took and because of the turnovers. They will not finish with the rest of their schedule without any more losses if he plays another game like that.
Well, he definitely won't see another defense like that.
That's true. That's true.
You know,
so maybe
he's not going to see another defense like that can. I mean, Joe, they ran 4 plays at the goal line and got absolutely stuffed.
That wasn't even bad play calling. Those weren't even bad play calls.
Hell no. The little screen is a Sean Payton go-to.
You have to do that if you can't score running up the middle. It's a very aggressive, and some people might complain about that, but that is what you're supposed to do when you run up the middle and get stopped every single time.
You know what else, Joe? Even when they stopped him, Dillon Garbiel hits that quick slant, gets the first down, or I think it was the quick slant. I mean, it just every time you needed Dillon Garbiel to step up, he did. And you know what else? I did think Sark had a bad day calling plays, even though the problem that I have with my take on that is they had 527 yards, though, right? Like, I mean, I can sit here and blame Sark on the play calling. When you have 527 yards, when you're that close to 600, it's very difficult for me to talk about your play calling when you're accumulating that much. I mean, look, Quinn had a bad game, but Texas still had Jonathan Brooks still ran for 129 yards.
He's a dog, by the way. He
is a dog. The Whittington kid, the dude with the dreads, had 10 catches, 115 yards. Xavier Worthy had a 108. They didn't get Mitchell the ball enough, in my opinion. He only went 3 for 33. I thought Anthony Hill, the freshman, looked fantastic. But again, that's why everybody says this play loses the game. No, it's an accumulation of big plays that loses you games. And I do think you bring up an interesting point. Texas can get their revenge. Okay, if they win out and Oklahoma wins out, they can get their revenge. But here becomes the question. What if both teams go to the Big 12 championship game and then Texas wins and you got Oklahoma and Texas both with a loss? Then what?
That's a really good question. I mean, I would argue that implication would very negatively impact whoever comes in second in the SEC, because realistically that second place SEC team could have 2 losses if it's Alabama or if it's LSU. that very well could be a 2-loss team. So are we going to put in a down year of SEC competition a 2-loss SEC team compared to a 1-loss Big 12 champion? That is really going to hinder and make it really hard for the SEC to get 2 teams in. You should be rooting for.
Forget the SEC.
Yeah.
You don't even have to use that take for the SEC, even though you hate the SEC so much.
I don't.
What about the Big 10? What about the Pac-12? I mean,
that's a really good point. Yeah.